Warsaw is the capital and largest city of Poland. Its population is estimated at around 1.7 million people, which makes Warsaw the 8th most populous capital city in the European Union. It has been said that Poland is the natural bridge between the East and the West. Sadly, in World War II, 80% of the city was destroyed. Poland was invaded by Nazi Germany on September 1st, 1939, then the Soviet Union. Under the occupations, it is estimated that around 5.7 million Polish citizens died as a result of the German occupation, and about 150,000 Polish citizens died as a result of the Soviet occupation. About 90% of the Polish Jews, close to 3 million people, were murdered at the Nazi camps. My trip to Warsaw was not only about what happened in World War II, but it is important to understand the history that this country has been through. On a better note, I was delighted to see the up-and-coming, vibrant, diverse, friendly, and hopeful city. It has amazing sightseeing, memorials, monuments, hospitable people, great beer and food. Welcome to Warsaw.
This is where the city was born, and this was when?
This was early 1300s.
1300s.
So 700 years ago, it was when the first building started to be built in here. But see, Warsaw wasn't built, because today it's the capital of Poland, right? It's the largest city, it's right in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
There's close to 2 million people who live here, which basically makes it the biggest city in Poland as well. So even though we have many kings in our history, there's only one that deserves to be placed this high up on the column, and that's King Sigismund. He was actually half Swedish.
Oh, so he was half Swedish. Okay.
Yeah, so he was born to a Polish mother, but his father was Swedish, and his father was the king of Sweden at that time. If you actually look at, this is an old map of Europe, but Krakow is right here. Here in the grey area, we have the contemporary borders of Poland. So Krakow is right here, Warsaw is right here, right in the middle, and then we have the Baltic Sea and Sweden. At that time, this meant 3 days on a horseback. So actually this was a pretty significant move to the north. And Sigismund wanted to be closer to Sweden because he was hoping that once his father passes away, except for ruling Poland and Lithuania at that time, he would also ascend to the throne of Sweden. Generally, this royal residence is probably the youngest royal residence you have an opportunity to see in Europe. It's only 34 years old. And what we see is this semi-naked lady here on the fountain. That's the Warsaw mermaid. I don't know if you heard, but actually mermaid is a symbol of Warsaw. That's the square. That's where we are right now. That's basically the square. And the only, now we have 4 sides reconstructed, but during the war, as a result of the war, one line of the buildings was standing. That's the northern wing over here. You can see this building here is the building with the yellow facade right behind me. So this building and the 2 right next to it are the 3 original buildings actually that survived intact. And except for that, we had front facades of the other buildings in this northern wing of the royal of the old town square.
Wow, that's incredible. So this was how people back in the days, communist days, used to live here, right?
Because the apartments were actually very compact, this is a very cool example of how the rooms, for example, a family of 4 would live on maybe 40-45 square meters. So the day room would turn into a bedroom in the evenings, and this is why those furniture sets were very popular. They would basically stretch along the one width of a wall, and this was a bedroom in the evening, but then it was foldable. You could put it up, and free space during the day. And then there was, the table and the chairs and things like that.
So basically, the communist government would pick and choose the format of pretty much how everybody would live.
Yes, to the point that if you, for example, you lived in an apartment yourself and you visited a friend, you exactly would know where's the kitchen and where's the bathroom. That was another case. This is actually a church that was destroyed in World War II as well. Actually, they were already during the war. There was during the Warsaw Uprising, there was a barricade running inside the church, across the church. So the interiors were completely destroyed in the fight. But then, since this is where we had our original church from 1370, the Nazis decided to destroy it. So our government would actually prefer to build a line of tenement houses probably here, but there was quite a lot of pressure from the society to have the churches rebuilt as well. So when they decided to rebuild it, they decided to rebuild it this way, not the way it looked like before the war, but the way it looked actually originally in the 14th century, or what they think the church looked like in the 14th century. You know how in many places in Europe you have this thing to either touch or rub or I don't know, dance around. It was placed here to make people's wishes come true. Normally what we do is we hold the top of the bell. You can see how it's all shining. You need to walk around the bell 3 times. And you need to think of the wish and make sure that your thoughts don't get distracted.
Me myself, I mean, I had a really little knowledge about Poland before I got here, and I mean, I can see it, like there's so much potential here. Everybody speaks English, the economy is thriving, you can see people in the streets, the shopping is filled, the food is great. So it's nice to actually visit the country and see like actually how people live and you know what they're hopeful for, and you know get a little history and you know hopefully become you know more knowledgeable citizens. So.
We call it the Little Insurgent. It's basically a monument that commemorates all the children who actively fought against the Nazis. The monument presents a boy who's maybe 4, maybe 5 years old, but as you can see, he's wearing a helmet that is too big for his head, and the boots are too big for his legs. So clearly the message here is that kids were too small to be faced with the reality of the war.
This is the minute like a
that's how we commemorate on the 1st of August, exactly at 5 p.m. People really come with flag, with those like flares, you know, and then after 1 minute basically everything comes back to normal. But right now because this is at 5 p.m. that's the time people have to leave work a little earlier to be able to join in. So people start gathering 40 minutes, half an hour before that. And basically block off the entire city center. Over this area where you're staying nearby, it's all blocked off. Even though it's 1 minute, it then takes the city for a couple of hours to come back to the regular traffic.
Wow.
This building here on the left is the headquarters of the Communist Party. So for as long as Poland was communist, this is where the country was ruled from.
Wow.
This big white building over here. So this is the typical monumental socialist architecture. So this building was complete in 1955, and for the first time in the history, a month ago, they actually started the cleaning the Palace of Culture. They actually are going to clean all of it and reintroduce the original color of the facade.
So there's 4 museums, and what else is in there?
There's the library of the Polish Academy of Science, because you see this building was built as the place for the Polish culture and science to bloom. This is why it's called the Palace of Culture and Science. Basically half of the building is missing because the residents of the blocks around here complained that with all these high-rise buildings around them, they would get no access to daylight at all.
Poland has come a long way since the 1980s.
Very long way, and it's still, you know, it's still a work in progress. It's a mixed bag of stories, mixed bag of architectural styles. So I think like my aim a little bit was also to show you the diversity. Like there is this business center, but the historical city center looks entirely different. And then yeah, the communist times, which were not that long time ago, actually also presented a completely different view. So we were able to kind of have a sneak peek into how people used to live like.
Right.
And life was very different here, yet, you know, I would say 1-2 generations ago.
Yeah, and you know, we can see that you know, Poland has a bright future, you know, and hopefully the leaders will be able to develop that. And yeah, looking forward to be back here soon. You know, I've been in places such as, you know, Cuba, where, you know, those stories still continue,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So it's glad to see that, like, you know, this nation has come a long way.
A visit to Warsaw and Poland will always sober you up. You will realize how lucky we are today that we live in mostly peaceful times. My wish is that we never get to see what happened in Poland happen again. For that, it is important to learn history. This trip was not an easy one, and it will forever stay in my mind. And I strongly encourage everyone to visit this great, friendly country.